the Nonprofit Podcast, powered by Donorbox.
Building a community of loyal, recurring supporters can feel like navigating uncharted and changeable waters. But what if there was a clear, step-by-step approach to make it happen? Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm Jena, Education and Community Engagement Manager here at Donorbox. We are here each week with practical actions you can use today to increase donations and take your nonprofit to the next level tomorrow. Today, I'm excited to welcome Dana Snyder, founder and CEO of Positive Equation. Dana is a speaker, a nonprofit strategist, entrepreneur, and now an author who has just published her new book, The Monthly Giving Mastermind, which hit the shelves this week. Dana has worked with organizations like American Idol, Movember, Dress for Success, and she's passionate about helping nonprofits grow loyal audiences of recurring donors. Today, she's here to share insights from her 5-step framework for building a successful monthly giving program. Dana, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Of course, I'm always honored when I get to talk about monthly giving, and really my excitement for it is because I am a monthly donor and I've gotten to experience that feeling of generosity and impact. So very excited and honored that you all had me on.
Of course. Now, before we dig deep into this framework, I would love to start us off. If you could tell us a little bit more about your book and what inspired you to write it and what you're hoping for nonprofit leaders to take away from it.
Yes, absolutely. And it really does stem from being a monthly donor. So I started my business nearly 8 years ago, and I did work for a nonprofit. It was my first job out of college for like 2.5 years. And then I moved to New York City and worked in the PR agency world and digital marketing. And so was able to really get a lot of amazing access and experience working with some really big brands, most of the sport leagues and The Honest Company and Sports Illustrated and Delta Airlines. And that taught me a lot about marketing. And then I launched a give back pro bono program at the PR agency I was working at. And that like just triggered that's what I wanted to get back into. And so my career has been interesting. When I launched Positive Equation in 2017, I was much more focused on digital marketing as what I did. And then in 2021, I became a monthly donor of a program called Dressember. Anti-human trafficking work is a big passion point of mine. And at the same time, I joined a mastermind for my personal business. If anybody feels this way, 2020, 2021 was a little crazy, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change. I think pivot was like the buzzword of the year. And I felt that too. I didn't know like where to turn. And so I had never been a part of a mastermind. And it's essentially a collective. It's usually a small group of like-minded individuals that are coming together to share challenges and questions and really be open with one another to help each other move forward in their goals. And I was having these two things happen at the same time. One, I was receiving monthly emails from Dressember about the impact of being a monthly donor and realizing how I felt and how I loved those stories of impact. At the same time, every month I was in mastermind calls. And I was learning about what is this like monthly giving ecosystem that's starting to grow as this subscription economy is growing. At the same time of being in this format where I was feeling so much relief and my business was evolving because of being in this mastermind. And so essentially the two things merged. My love and passion for being a monthly donor, my love of tech, which obviously you guys rock at, technology for nonprofits. That was all changing a lot too during that time. 2020, I feel like a ton of new platforms, tools, changes in nonprofit tech was happening. And I was really diving into that research. And then also this format of a mastermind. And so I was like working one-on-one with clients, and I would always start to think about my mastermind experience in the background of like, oh my gosh, if they just had this type of format, they could hear from this person on what they're doing and this person on what they're doing. And that's like the power of a collective community. And so in 2022, I launched my Monthly Giving Mastermind, which is a small group of, I work with 3 to 5 orgs at a time. I'm literally building usually from scratch or refreshing monthly giving programs. I bring in a graphic designer, a copywriter, a website designer, myself for social ads, and we build from scratch over 4 months these programs. And so I basically wanted to take the framework that I teach in my mastermind, stories that I've heard, and case studies for organizations that I've worked with, other ones I'm just a huge fan of, and put them into a resource that anyone can get their hands on to learn and grow from. And so, long story, but that is like the pinnacle reason for writing this book.
I am such a fan of taking things that can be very complicated and basically giving it a formula, right? Doesn't mean that it's not going to be a lot of work, but it makes it so unintimidating and approachable. And I really feel that's something that you've done here. So I would love for you to introduce to us what each step entails. So I want to start with, of course, the first step. You talk about creating the product of your monthly giving program. Why is it important to view your monthly giving program as a product, and how can nonprofits approach that?
Yes, that is step number one. Even before that, I will say the book goes into the history of the subscription economy, why that's so important in culture today. And there's a whole chapter on growth mindset. That's really important anytime you're trying something new. I do have things in here where if you have been trying to convince leadership to build a recurring giving program, I have examples for you with like data points that you can talk to your leaders about. Also, if you are the leader, you can skip that section and go to the second foundational step, which is all about having an accountability, having a community behind you. And so I reference that too. I just want to talk about those things because I think those are like fundamental truths that need to happen before even like getting tactical into things. Step number one, creating the product, is all about understanding, why do you want this program to exist? What structure do you want this program to have? And it also focuses on the chapter about a product. So I'm going to show her this. I'm holding a coffee mug. It is yellow. It says, "Today is a good day." This is from the Sunrise Shack in Hawaii. There's a reason this is a color. They have a brand. They have a logo on here. They have a name. There's a price point to this mug. This is a product. People had to make decisions behind it. There was marketing dollars behind it. Your monthly giving program also needs all those things. It should have a name behind it. It should have a landing page where there's a specific form for that product, that program. The emphasis on that is to really illustrate that a monthly giving program is also an additional revenue stream, just like a product. And so if you have that mind frame around it, you just realize, one, the importance of it, and then two, the type of energy that goes behind it. And I think when something becomes a brand or a product, you can tell stories. You can build communities around it. So that's kind of what that whole chapter in step one is about, is understanding that and going into building your brand of your program. Chamber of Mothers is an organization that I donate monthly to. Their monthly giving program is called the Matriarchy. When they first started to branding, they had a completely different name of their monthly giving program. And I think naming is really important in creating a brand. So they did have a name. However, it didn't feel right. It felt generic. So they went back to the drawing board. They have an amazing team of volunteers, founders of their group, and somebody came up with the Matriarchy. That is a bold, strong word. And somebody said, "Ooh, that might repel some people." And then they were like, "Yeah, but then those people aren't our monthly donors. It's going to attract the people we want. It's going to repel the ones that we don't. And your monthly donors are your super fans," which we'll talk about in step 3. So that's just one example of like really knowing who your audience is, knowing your brand, and creating an identity that people are going to be drawn to be a part of.
That is a really cool example. I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. Okay, so step number 2, what is that?
So step number 2 is make it easy. This is the reason why platforms like yours exist. 1, it is about having a landing page so you can specifically direct people to this program. I always say it's not enough to just have a checkbox to give monthly. It should have its own landing page, its own donation form, and to make it seamless to give. Actually, one of the number one reasons why I've loved the mastermind and getting to work with people is the tech behind recurring should work for you and it should work for the donor.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is you want this program to scale. So your tech tools need to talk to one another. I mean, your front-end donation tool, your CRM, that's separate. Usually they are. Your email platform, if that's separate, at least those 3 things. If they don't natively integrate, is there zaps that can happen? Because what I have found in just right now in my current mastermind, 3 organizations out of the 4 were about to choose platforms that didn't connect with one another, and we're about to sign deals, and it just wasn't top of mind to think about. And until you start to think about, no, you want to have an automated email sequence that you're not uploading and downloading CSVs because you want monthly giving new people to come in every single day all the time. And that would be a pain in the behind to be doing that manual upload, download. So to have tools like yours where people can go in and seamlessly know, okay, who do they natively integrate with? Great, we should use them as this partner. Who did they connect with on Zapier? And do those connections. So step 2 is all about the back end for you, and then the front end being management and ease for your donor. On the other side there, I was in a conversation recently and they said, good tech is when you don't even know it's there, right? I never go on Amazon and say, oh, what a pain. If somebody's noticing the technology, then it's usually bad.
Right. We expect so much from our tech. I was just at a networking event last night and people spent thousands of dollars to sign up for certain platforms and realized it didn't integrate with anything. And not only that, like you said, it's not just about your experience being able to manage the program, it's your donor's experience. And, having things in place for them to get that instant thank you email, get that receipt, get the reminders, whatever that may be, automatically makes a really big difference. Okay, on to the 3rd step. What is that?
Call in the believers. I think this is one of my favorites because it's the most creative, I think, the most fun. We can sometimes be writing copy that sounds so professional, but that's not how we talk. That's not how your donors talk about you. And so this landing page should be a conversation on the page where they are nodding their head, they are answering as they move their head down the page, and they feel seen as donors. They feel seen as the same values, the same beliefs that you have that's making them say yes. So Call in the Believers chapter is all about how do you find your super fans. So one big chunk of the chapter is focused on copywriting. Mm-hmm. So how do you write copy like that? How do you write copy that calls in the believers? And I share examples from pages that we've worked on. And then also there's a great tool I love called Hemingway app. The Hemingway app puts a grade to your copy, like a education grade. So in marketing, your copy really shouldn't be above 5th or 6th grade, also for accessibility reasons. Because you never want people to read something and say, but what does that mean? Right? It should be so clear. So copy is one big part of it. Another part is, and this is going to sound a little funky to some organizations, but is to let go a little bit. Give donors the ability to take not control, but a little bit of the brand into what makes them excited to support you. Release it a bit. And what I mean by this is, I share an example from Movember. Movember is an organization I worked with for 3 years. They are the largest global men's health charity. And so they rock mustaches and they say something to the effect of on their site of we're here to support you. You're our Mo bros. Here's some examples of how you can do it, but you take the reins, mow on. And so they give their brand to fundraisers to create experiences with their friends, with their family, what's personal to them, and how they resonate with the organization. So that's another step. And then the third one is all about creating value-aligned partnerships. This is huge. To be able to amplify the work that you're doing, who can you partner with? Who do you already partner with? But maybe you can partner in a different way to increase and to share awareness about your monthly giving program. So those are kind of the 3 ways of calling in the believers and really making people feel like super fans, and they are super fans of your mission.
I think about how much bravery it can take for organizations to let go. And I've been completely guilty of the very formal copy that's extremely on brand. I know the board would love it. But my favorite newsletters are the ones that are cheeky, the ones that don't use all the right punctuations, and stream of consciousness and just very open and genuine. And
because we're people.
We're people.
We're human.
And we recognize that, right? There's a
Yes.
difference between sounding genuine and actually being genuine. And you can feel that.
Marcus Collins wrote a book called For the Culture. And so in the book, specific to superfans, he says, instead of just looking for an audience, find a congregation. Huge. Same to the point of the matriarchy that I made earlier. These are your diehards. Monthly donors, the average, and I'm sure you see this at Donorbox, retention rates are on an annual like 70 to 90+%. And there's been studies that say they give 6 to 7 years. Amazing. Amazing. So you're going after those people for the long haul.
Absolutely. Okay, step number 4. Tell us about that.
So step number 4, and I actually have like a pause in the book at this point, because if you notice, I haven't even talked about making the ask yet. That is step number 4. It doesn't happen until we've done all of these things. And make the ask is just that. It is, how do we market? How do we build up our list? What's the type of communication, text messages, emails? Like, how are we going to go out and share this wonderful program that we've now built and established?
We get approached a lot, like, how do I get recurring donations? And recognizing that there is work that you need to do before that. Now, something that I encounter a fair amount is nonprofits who are nervous to make the ask. And again, I think that it comes before laying all this groundwork. So by the time you've gotten to this point, you know, you've got a good product, you've got a good brand, you understand who your community is. But have you encountered people having like any hesitation or apprehension, or just not really sure if they can ask their community for recurring support?
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's a couple things with this. One, monthly donors, donating in general is a gift to people, right? It is a gift to you, but it's a gift to us. And I say this because I am a monthly donor. I think of 5 organizations at this point. And each of them is literally a reflection of who I am as a person. And it allows me to feel like I am able to make an impact. And what I love about recurring giving is I am not a millionaire. Like, I am not quote unquote what I perceive to be a philanthropist. However, as a monthly donor, I feel like a philanthropist because my gift is multiplied by hundreds of other people who are also giving those gifts. And so I'll never forget, like, when the ask from December happened, originally I was like, oh, what is a one-time $25 gift gonna do? Like, it just felt like flat on a massive issue like human trafficking. But then when they came out with the collective, and I was like, oh, but I could totally give $25 a month. And if that's compounded by these hundreds of other people, that can actually do something. And so never forget that you are giving somebody the opportunity to fulfill that desire and that need. And look, you're going to have to ask. And you're going to have to ask multiple times and all the time. Something that I've been saying about asking for recurring giving is it needs airtime. You don't just send out one campaign. You have to ask all the time. And look, we're so busy. You're so busy, listener. You need to ask people multiple times, because if they're anything like me and they have a 16-month-old running around, I get distracted all the darn time, and I need the 17 emails. And one of them I'm going to open, and one of them I might actually do something, but you don't know which one that is. So at the end of the day, if someone says no, it maybe no right now, okay, that's fine. If somebody unsubscribes, okay, they weren't meant for it anyway. Like, I think it's just not taking that no to be like personalized with you. It's just maybe for them no right now.
Right. And that's something I love to say too, is it's not no forever. It's just no right now. And I'm definitely the type of person who needs those reminders. And heck, if you're sending mail, it's going to sit on someone's counter for something like 22 days before they, actually do something about it. So I appreciate that for sure. Okay, the final step. Tell us about that.
The most important thing and the magic of recurring giving is all about retention and the stewardship. So step 5 is share constant joy and gratitude. Essentially, when that monthly bank statement comes across, you want them to feel the same jolt of joy as when they gave the very first time. And so how do you do that? So this chapter breaks down examples. It gives ideas of like surprise and delight moments, about email strategies, about SMS messages, like depending upon how many tools you have and how omni-channel you're going. There's different options for everybody, but this is all about making sure that your supporters feel seen, that they are feeling the impact and the weight of how important their gift is every single month, and that they feel a part of a bigger community than just themselves. And so that's what this is. That's really what monthly giving is all about. And so this chapter is dedicated to helping set up a retention plan.
What are some of your favorite examples from orgs that you've worked with and, keeping up that connection to make sure that they're retaining their monthly donors?
Well, I'll share a favorite one, like personally, but then also something to check is oftentimes emails are number one way of communicating with people, but double check those open rates. Like if there's people in your monthly giving community that have not opened an email from you in 3 months, there might be something wrong with the email. Maybe it's going to spam. You want to check that. I have canceled giving monthly because I feel like I haven't heard from anybody. And maybe their email is going to spam or trash. Your donors don't have time to be going in and checking their spam and trash folders to see if that's where they're going. That's just the reality. And so you want to make sure if they haven't opened it, what is that next channel of communication that you have to be able to talk to them? So a couple of favorite ones that I have seen, it sounds silly, but is somebody sending me like, hey, like happy 1 year anniversary of being a member of blank. Also, Dressember has sent, and I wear it every single day, like a crossbody bag. They did a partnership with this brand called Made Free.
Yeah.
And so they did this partnership, and then they sent out a crossbody to anyone who was a member of the collective that wanted one. And so they asked for our addresses. And I was like, this is so cool. So every time I wear it and I'm asked about it, I talk about them. Another cool one, Chamber of Mothers to go back to, they did a partnership with Baked by Melissa, the amazing cupcakes around Mother's Day. And so I bought 5 of the packages of cupcakes because my neighborhood, I don't know what's going on right now in the water, but a lot of people had babies. So on Mother's Day, I was going around and I would deliver them these like Baked by Melissa cupcakes and say a portion of the proceeds went towards Chamber of Mothers. And I'm a monthly donor for it. And so it was a conversation. They'd be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I didn't even know, right? So many different creative ways that you can, and that's actually a really good example of I'm a monthly donor, plus I purchased another item from them that would go towards, right? It wasn't stopping me from contributing again when they asked.
Yeah, it all goes back to knowing your monthly donors. And you had said something just a minute ago about, checking your open rates and seeing if people are opening them, or maybe they're not getting them. Maybe they're not interested in being communicated to that way. And that's where having a CRM work for you and segmenting your donors and adding notes to their profiles and making sure that you're talking to each segment of monthly donor in a way that resonates with them. I mean, a text message for one person or an opportunity to buy a crossbody bag for another might work just fine. So for organizations looking to get started with this 5-step framework, what is one practical action they can do right away?
Literally I would say register for the Monthly Giving Summit. It's free. If you're not able to attend the whole time, you can also get a VIP ticket to get access to all of the recordings. It is going to be incredible. There's over 1,600 registered nonprofits right now from 31 countries all over the world. By the time this is airing, we'll be over 2,000 registrants, which is very exciting. There's keynotes, there's panels of nonprofits moderating other nonprofits on what's working. Day 2 is one-on-one networking with your peers and going into breakout rooms and being able to get hot seat coaching, like live time, ask your questions, get feedback from other nonprofits and the room hosts that are going to be there. So I would say that's one thing. Just go to monthlyGivingSummit.com and read the book by going to positiveequation.com/book. And then something else that's cool, if you purchase the book for September 20th, I'm doing a giveaway where if you see on the website, it says like step 1, you can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble to get the book. And then after you have like your order confirmation number, go back to the site. And for step number 2, you put in your name, your email, the confirmation number, and you'll be entered to win a spot in my mini mastermind, which is 3 months of group coaching calls. Each month you get 4 social media templates all about building and growing and scaling your monthly giving program, and that's worth $750.
Well, we'll be sure to link all of those opportunities in the show notes, the Monthly Giving Summit, your book, and Donorbox will be there as one of the sponsors. We will have a little expo room, and we'll be talking about some good nudges and incentives to encourage monthly giving. So join us there as well.
And I want to give a big shout out to you guys for that too. So I'm so grateful to Donorbox and the partners of the event because you all are making that happen. So I appreciate you guys.
We are so grateful to be a part of it. And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited for our listeners to dive into your book and join you at the summit. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.
And thank you for joining us on the Nonprofit Podcast. I hope you've left with the confidence to take a small step today that will make a big difference tomorrow. Be sure to click the download button on your podcast player, then leave the Nonprofit Podcast a review, or give it a thumbs up if you're listening to the Nonprofit Podcast on YouTube. Your review helps others find us. You're here to help others. We're here to help you. Until next time, stay inspired.
That warm feeling when you help someone, it's not just happiness, it's fulfillment. And we believe it should be available to everyone, from frontline heroes to first-time fundraisers. Our tools empower you to help others. This is our mission. This is Donorbox, helping you help others.